Hi everyone. Welcome to week 9 of our Comp 1 class. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what we're doing in class this week. So you should have turned in your final draft of Writing Project 2 last night, Sunday by 11:59. I have some papers to finish up grading for another school that I teach at, but once I'm done with those, I'll begin grading yours. So expect it to take probably a couple of weeks before you get your grade back. I wish it could be done sooner than that, but the reality is that I have quite a lot of papers to grade, and it takes a while to do that. This week in class, we are going to focus on getting started with Writing Project 3. Writing Project 3, which you can find over here under Writing Projects, you'll find the assignment sheet for that and all of the requirements. Writing Project 3 is asking you to explore a question through personal reflections and research. So you're going to be doing a research paper, and this is an opportunity for you to dig deeper into a topic that interests you. One tip that I have is try to spend some time thinking of a good research question, something that you really are curious to find out the answer to. In my experience, both as a teacher and as a writer myself, research projects tend to go better and just be more enjoyable if you are writing about a topic that you care about. Task 9.1 asks you to familiarize yourself with the assignment sheet for the project. Like I said, you can find that over here on the left under Writing Projects. And also make sure to watch the video that goes along with that assignment sheet. The videos are there to provide kind of a different medium of understanding the project. You know, not everyone understands things as well just by reading them. A lot of times it helps to see visuals and to also hear someone explain something. After you're done looking over that assignment sheet, you'll move on to task 9.2. Task 9.2 is some readings from the textbook as well as a couple of other readings as well. You have a couple of readings here from the textbook. First one is on choosing a topic, and the other is an essay called Does Texting Affect Writing, which you will also find in the field guide. The third reading that you're going to do is by Nicholas Carr, and it's called Is Google Making Us Stupid? And you should find it here if you follow this link. A couple of these readings, so choosing a topic, that's obviously connected to Writing Project 3, because you will also be selecting a topic, and that chapter is going to give you some guidance on that. These other two readings are examples of research-based essays, and we'll be looking at those, analyzing them a little bit this week to give you some ideas of how you might want to approach Writing Project 3. And then a tip here for you, if you'd like, you could look ahead at the Student Success Gallery for week 13 to read some sample drafts of Writing Project 3, which will help you get a sense of what this paper will look like. In task 9.3, you're going to be making your Wednesday discussion post. What I'd like you to do for that post, we're going to look more closely at the readings texting and Google. And I'd like you to address in what ways do those readings, help you understand the genre you will be writing in for Writing Project 3. For example, what did you notice about those readings in terms of the author's voice, their use of sources, the questions, and as well as the answers that they are providing to those questions? Did the writers do things that you might want to try in your own writing? So that's going to be your discussion board post for this week. Task 9.4 is going to be the main thing that you turn in, your weekly writing for the week. This is, as per usual, the brainstorming that goes along with Writing Project 3. And again, as per usual, you have a couple of options, option 1 and option 2, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a second. First, remember that ultimately the question that you choose, so the research question that you decide to write about, should be of interest to you right now, something you are currently and actively interested in. It needs to be focused, but not so narrow that there's only one answer to the question. A good research question usually has a variety of answers. There's not just one right answer to the question. It should also have some personal connection to your life. This is largely just to help you feel more invested in it. I want you to write about something that you actually care about, that you have some real connection to, or that impacts your life in some way. And it should also be something that you haven't already answered, or it shouldn't be a question that you've already determined what you think about it. You should go into this project with an open mind and be willing to explore different perspectives and really try to find a good answer to your question. So try not to pick a topic that you already have firm stances on. Or if you do want to pick a topic that you already feel like you have an opinion on, still try to be open to having that opinion changed, or into looking at different aspects of the topic. Maybe focus on a different part of the topic that you've never thought about before. So option 1, if you choose option 1, you should respond to all of these prompts. Number 1, go to pages 172 and 173 in your textbook. Read the section called Start with Roles in Your Life. Identify issues that interest you and frame your topic as a problem. And you're going to write out responses to each of those sections. And make sure that each section is clearly labeled. So when you move on to a different section in the textbook, make sure to label that in your document. That's going to make it easier for me to follow along and to keep track of what you're writing. Number 2, think about questions related to your work in our course or in another course. For example, maybe you wrote a personal piece earlier this semester about difficult situations you experienced in elementary school. Perhaps then, as a result, you've been wondering whether you should homeschool your own children. That could be the basis for a research question. Look back over your work in the course or in other courses you're taking this semester, and brainstorm a list of questions that might interest you for this writing project. Number 3, think about questions related to current events. You could choose to research something related to things going on in the news, or events happening in America or even around the world. You must be able to show how the question is personally relevant to you, though. So ask yourself, what are people talking about in the news? What about on social media? Have you been hearing things come up in conversations with friends or family members? Maybe you're curious about college placement testing in the age of coronavirus, or maybe you're invested in the Black Lives Matter protests that are still going on. Maybe you are especially concerned about immigration or the upcoming election. There's tons of things for you to write about in this project. It's just a matter of selecting what you think is going to be best for you. Number 4, think about questions related to a problem or issue you're experiencing in your life. You can choose to research a problem or issue in your life as long as it's something that can be answered with the help of outside sources. So make sure that ultimately whatever you're choosing, it's something that you can research, something that you can look into and find other people's perspectives on it. Let's see here. For example, maybe you're a procrastinator and the habit is starting to interfere with your schoolwork. Your question could be something like, what research-backed methods can help someone reverse a habit like procrastination? Number 5, think about questions related to your own interests and hobbies. You could choose to research something related to your own general interests or hobbies as long as your question could be answered with the help of research. Maybe you're interested in the sport of slacklining. Your question could be something like, how did slacklining begin as a sport? And then number 6, think about all the questions you generated above. So for each of these 5 prompts, you should have come up with multiple questions that you are interested in. And then for number 6, which one or two of those questions interest you the most? Why? What's the relevance of the question to you personally and to others? So as I am grading option 1, if you choose to do option 1, I should see a whole bunch of questions that you have come up with for prompts 1 through 5. And then number 6, you should select the 1 or 2 research questions that you're most interested in and explain your interest in those questions. Instead of option 1, you can choose option 2. If you do, however, please take note that you need to try several of the strategies described here. So this isn't, you can't just do one quick little free write and then call it quits. I'll be looking to see that you have done, like 4 or 5 of these different methods, and that you've put in about as much effort into these things as you would have into these things. I think sometimes people think that option 2 is kind of the quick way out because it's less specific, but I'm looking for about the same amount of work for both options. In task 9.5, you're going to make your Friday discussion post. In your Friday post, please answer the following. So after completing at least some of the topic generation activities for this week, which was task 9.4, you're going to post a couple of the questions you came up with, preferably the ones that you're actually considering writing about for this project. And you're going to explain why you're interested in those questions. Then I'd like you to read through your classmates' posts and write responses to at least 2 of them. Explain which questions you think are the most promising and why. So which of their questions do you think that they're going to have the most success with? Also, as you read your peers' research questions, consider whether the questions meet the following guidelines. Does the student seem to be genuinely interested in the question? Is the question focused but not too narrow? Does the question have some personal connection to their life? Is the question answerable with the help of secondary sources, so things like articles, essays, news reports, that kind of thing? And is the question something the student hasn't already answered or made up their mind about? Now, obviously, some of these things might be harder to tell than others. For instance, this last one here, you may not be able to tell if they've already made up their mind about the question, but if you kind of get the sense that they are going into it with maybe a little bit of a closed mind, that they already, have thought of all their opinions on that issue, you might try to kind of steer them in a different direction. And that's pretty much it for this week. On Sunday by 11:59, you're going to submit the writing that you did for task 9.4, which was all of the brainstorming list that we talked about up here. If you have any questions for me or any concerns, feel free to let me know.